Good morning and welcome to Prepper Nation. This is John. Thank you very much for listening and being here and shooting a thumbs up and sharing it out and hitting subscribe and being part of the coffee club and being part of Patreon. Man, there's a whole list of things. I really need to write it down. Thank you. So you are a Kamala Harris fan. Okay, maybe not. There might be a few of you. There might be a few Harris fans out there. Probably not many, if I'm being honest. So you're a Trump fan. Probably more of those listening, but some people are not Trump fans. We're going over lists. Today is Friday. We've made it an entire week with lists. Why not finish with a list? A couple, actually. So here's what we're going to do this morning. 5 guarantees for either candidate should they win the election in November. Now, I know some people are still out there. They're still saying there won't be an election in November, but I think there will be. And let me make a case for that real quick. I could be wrong. I don't know this for a fact, okay? But I think there will be an election in November because in order to stay in power, you have to keep people divided and you have to keep them asleep. Y'all agree with that out there this morning in internet land? So if we don't have an election, I think it wakes too many people up on both sides of the aisle. A lot of Democrats would be upset and they're like, what's going on? Why are we not having an election? Republicans would be livid, I think. Why are we not having an election? Are you kidding me right now? And it would kind of unify people. Can't have that. We cannot have anything that unifies Americans in 2024 because there's a loss of power coming shortly thereafter. See, if people unify and they get on the same page and they start asking the same questions, eventually they all look at DC and they're like, why are we putting up with this? We don't need this government. We can do better ourselves. So I do think there's going to be an election. I'm not thoroughly convinced it's going to be fair. If you want to know the truth, that's where I stand on it. I think that rather than getting rid of the election, they're trying to find a way to, shall we say, take it on one side or the other unfairly. And of course, I've got to dance around. So if this is the case, Kennedy has no chance, by the way. If you're a Kennedy fan, good for you. I'm sorry this man's not winning the election. I think he was trying to position himself as a vice presidential candidate, and he was making, a decent case for that, especially if you're a leftist. But this dude turns out he's kind of weird. He's done some weird things he's got caught and he's admitted to, and people just are not in love with this candidate. And as a libertarian myself, and it hurts me to say, the libertarian candidate has no chance. He sucks. I wouldn't vote for the guy. So really and truly, you're left with the illusion of Harris and Trump. These are the two choices. And I still, to this day, I even tell my kids still, I cannot believe these are the two people that we have running for president. You can't find two better people out here. They're, two more energetic people that are ready to get things done. It's crazy to me. People argue back and forth. Well, Trump will do this. Harris will do this. Blah, blah, blah. Here's the deal. Trump was president for 4 years. We know what he's about. We know what he's going to try and accomplish. You can literally look at their track records. Okay. Harris is going to do this. Harris is going to do this. You can look at her past 4 years and you can see what she's about. The border czar, as many people call her. But unfortunately, if we do have an election, one of these two are going to be president of the United States. Maybe in name only, but president of the United States. So 5 guarantees. Should Harris win? 5 guarantees should Trump win and get back into the White House. So let's start with Harris, okay? And let me know what you would add to this list, blah, blah, blah. Harris, number 1, she will, and I promise you, she is going to end support for Israel. Has nothing to do with the reckless spending. She's still going to be sending aid packages to Ukraine, but she's not going to support Israel any longer. You're going to see the United States begin to distance itself from Israel, and Israel at that point would be on its own, or pretty much on its own. I mean, we would have a little bit of a military presence there, but she's more pro-Palestinian. I mean, we got to call it for what it is. She's pandering to the Palestinian crowd right now, and that's just part of her platform. She's like, the war in Israel needs to end. And if I'm president, we're going to end it. Well, really, number one, it has nothing to do with the United States, period. We're not even in that region of the world. Okay? But for us to have the arrogance to come in and say, okay, y'all need to start playing nice. I mean, it's just crazy. But I guarantee you, she will end support for Israel. Number two, many, and I would underline that, many of your guaranteed rights will be lost. That's a rough statement, and that's going to make some people mad. But listen, this lady's dangerous in the respect that she could sign paperwork, she could sign executive orders. She has the kind of connections to strip mine rights away. I know we have a constitution. I know we have a Bill of Rights, but I'm telling you, this lady doesn't care about either one of those. She wants this country to be totally different. We were talking yesterday, communism versus capitalism. This lady is not a capitalist, folks. She doesn't care about the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, and she has no problem telling you this. It's not like she's even trying to hide this. We would be getting into a situation where, you start getting into ESG scores and your online social credit score and stuff like this. She will implement this stuff, and it will be fast. It will be so fast that your head will spin. Freedom of speech is the one that I'm worried about here. Okay, because we could see a point here in the United States of America where if you speak out against Palestinians protesting and burning down Portland, you could be guilty of hate. You could be jailed for speaking out against it on Facebook, and this lady can make it legal. And I use the term legal very lightly. I don't think that it's legal, but I think she can justify it to the rest of the tyrants and the criminals in D.C. I'm telling you, she's dangerous in this way. Number three, we would effectively on day one become the socialism states of America. They wouldn't change the name for the Olympics or anything like that, but your every want and need would be covered by a socialist, government-funded, government-ran program. You know what I mean? And I have a problem with this. I'm not a fan of Obamacare. I'm not a fan of the government in general telling me how to live my life. But a lot of people in 2024 don't have an issue with it as long as the government is feeding them and paying their electric bill. And you know what I mean? It gets to the point, excuse me, it gets to the point where it feels like your entire existence is Section 8 housing. The government is going to dictate to you everything about your life. This is what the government wants to do. This is what people like Kamala Harris want to do, because it is the ultimate measure of control. You getting that? You're not allowed to buy but X amount of meat, X amount of gas. They will use anything they can. They'll use the climate. They'll use anything to justify socialism programs here in the United States of America. And the ones that we have already have bankrupted this country. Endless wars and endless socialism programs. People say, you're crapping on socialism. We have all kinds of socialism programs. Yes, I'm aware of that. It's part of the reason we have so much debt. We can't afford this kind of socialism in this country. There are not enough people paying into the pot. But people like Kamala Harris, they don't care. They're pandering to socialists. Number 4. This is going to be a tough one. You need to be sitting down for this. Buckle up, put your Hans device on. A lot of you are going to be mad, but it's the truth. If she gets into the White House on day 1, you need to accept the fact that all of the undocumented are here to stay. They are not going anywhere. None of them. They are here with you to stay. Because part of a socialist mindset is sympathy. Oh God, these poor people, these pitiful people that snuck in 50 in the back of a truck. We've got to feed them. We've got to clothe them. We've got to send them through school. They've got to get a college education before we do, somehow. I don't know why. We've got to give them free insurance. Everything. These things are hand in hand. Socialism programs and sympathy. And there's nothing wrong with having a little sympathy here and there or empathy. But people got to want to help themselves. It's biblical. You don't just keep catching fish for a man. You show the man how to catch the fish or woman, whatever. You get what I'm saying. These undocumented will not be going anywhere. You can go ahead and mark it down. If Kamala Harris is in there, they are here to stay. And I don't know how many we have. Estimates are all over the place. 20 million, 30 million. I've heard even 35 million. They're your new neighbors. Kamala Harris, day 1. And number 5, handing those guns, folks, because she's not going to put up with it. The Second Amendment will be a suggestion when this lady is done. People like Kamala Harris, I get that she throws out word salad and she dances around very important topics, but when it comes to things she wants to accomplish, I'm going to give her credit where credit is due. This lady's smart. She knows who to talk to, who to reach out to in the swamp to get things done. We always talk about chipping away at the Second Amendment. This lady is going to be pickaxing at the Second Amendment until it virtually does not exist anymore. You're going to have so many permission slips and pay so many taxes just to own a basic shotgun that it's ludicrous. They don't want you to have guns. It's a socialism and a communism thing. And they're going to come after those, I assure you. So let's get into Trump now. Okay? 5 guarantees if Trump should return to the White House. Trump will continue to support Israel, but I think he will end the support for the Ukrainian war. He's going to stop sending money to Ukraine. It's probably not going to save us a lot of money because, in all fairness, he's probably going to take the money that we've been sending to Ukraine, send it to Israel instead. He just has different values, a different belief system. He believes we're going to have Israel's back. He's not a fan of Zelensky. Now, people equate that to, oh, he's a Putin puppet. No, I think Trump realizes we can't support both. We don't have the money. May not even have the money to support either. But I don't think that Trump likes the idea of Israel being on their own. So I think he will continue to support Israel. Just my take on that. Let me know what you think. Number 2, Trump becomes president of the United States for 4 more years. Day 1, you will see massive protests and massive violence. It's going to be happening in all major cities. Summer of Love 3.0. This will be the worst of the worst. Not even day 1, hour 1. The moment CNN or MSNBC, whatever these people are watching, whatever they're connected to, the moment it is declared that Trump is the victor and he becomes president, these people are mobilizing. They're getting the ballots out. They're getting the trash can shields out. They're getting the Molotov cocktails out. They're getting everything ready because they don't know how to deal with loss, political loss. They don't know how to. It's going to be hard for them to be sit down and say, look here, son, we're going to be a capitalist country for a while, whether you like it or not. These people don't know how to do it other than to act out, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Number 3, this one's going to sting because I know we got a lot of Trump fans, and that's cool. But I'm going to explain why. Number 3, only a small percentage of deportations are going to happen. As a matter of fact, Vice Presidential candidate J.D. Vance has already admitted this. He was asked point blank, how many deported people can we expect? He said 1 million. He poked his little chest out. 1 million illegals. We're getting them out of here. Now, that's a huge number. And that may seem great, man. That may seem like you're getting exactly what you want. But again, the numbers are all over the place. Either 20 million to 35 million, somewhere in between. 1 million is a drop in the bucket. This is Trump and J.D. Vance trying to deliver on a campaign promise while also not mass deporting people. Now, why would they not deport these people? Here's my take on it. I think the worst of the worst criminal elements, people with felonies that are here that aren't supposed to be here, I think they're going to get kicked out of the country. And I think Trump and J.D. Vance know that will hold up in court. We can make a case for this. We're kicking the criminal element out. We're not going to lose in court. But one of Trump's most recent campaign promises, don't tax the tips. Very smart, by the way. Very smart campaign promise. You're going to pull a lot of younger people in, and you're going to pull a lot of Latinos in on that. Because when you get into the food service and the hospitality industry, 1 in 4 are Latino. Now, maybe they're all here legally, but I'm doubting it. So on one hand, he's telling you we're going to mass deport these people out. We're going to kick them out. That's what he's telling you. But then he's telling the Latino population, we're not going to take your tips as you're working. Well, if you're working, that means you're here. You know what I mean? It's kind of doublespeak to a degree. Most of the people that are here to stay. And we need to go ahead and accept that fact. Whether we get Kamala Harris not even going to kick the criminals out. At least Vance and Trump are going to kick the criminal element out. But they're going to allow the rest to stay. And I think here's how the government works. They look at people as a resource, a revenue stream. Okay? If you have, and again, I don't know what the actual number is, but if you have 22 million people here illegally, does it make more sense to kick 22 million people out and have all of these jobs, come open that Americans don't want to work? Or does it make more sense to give these folks citizenship, which would force them to start paying taxes? That's a huge revenue stream. And I think the government is looking at this and they're saying, at some point, these people are they're going to earn citizenship. Well, earn is, I don't really want to say earn, but we're going to give them citizenship, which means they have to start paying taxes, which means, of course, the government has more money to fight endless wars with. My opinion. Number 4, and this one I like to see. If Trump gets back in there, I think we're going to see some dismantling of some of the 3-letter agencies that are out there. Every 3-letter agency, to me, is government overreach. Every one. Okay? I'm going to be honest with you right now. I believe in states' rights. I believe Texas should be deciding what kids learn in Texas, in the school systems. I believe, Arizona, they should, at a state level or even at a community level, that would be even better, but at least at a state level, decide what kids are learning in school. I don't think everything should be running from D.C. I don't think D.C. should be dictating to Oregon what they're learning in schools. You're talking about thousands of miles of distance. There's so many different cultures. We're the ultimate melting pot. You hear this all the time. People have different traditions and different cultures. So let's embrace that by letting states decide what they want to do, right? If you have a criminal problem, let the state of Texas, let their National Guard, let the, Texas Rangers, let them go after the criminals. We don't need the FBI for this. We don't need the IRS. The IRS is a huge waste of money. We need a simpler tax system. So I'm good with dismantling a lot of these three-letter agencies. And I think he's going to dismantle some, but you need to understand, if Trump's in office, they're going to fight this man tooth and nail judicially the entire time. So he has to make it make sense legally. And he's going to take some losses in court, but I think he's going to win some as well. Finally, number 5, one of the biggest issues during his presidency would be coal and gas versus the climate agenda. The climate agenda, folks, are nuts. They are loco. They are worried more about saving trees than they are helping people who are homeless in the street or people that are struggling because they just lost their job and they can't afford to eat. Right? These are the people that are telling you to eat plants and eat grass. Don't eat the beef. Don't eat the beef. You're killing the planet, right? Eat the food that the beef eats. Let the beef starve to death. Somehow this helps the climate. I've never understood. But you're going to see this play out. Trump, if he's in there, he's going to create a lot of jobs through natural gas, through coal, through all kinds of, pipeline initiatives and things like this. But again, he's going to be fought tooth and nail at a government and even an international level. And I think there's a chance, there is a significant chance that when people, for example, at the WEF start to say, hey, we're tired of you opening pipelines, Trump is the kind of person that says, forget you. We out. We out. We don't need the WEF. So I think that there's going to be that back and forth tug of war throughout the entire presidency. The UN doesn't like what we're doing. We'll ghost the UN. We're out. He's this kind of person. And to me, this is a good thing, but for some people, you may think it's a bad thing. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Going to try my best to have content Monday through Friday next week. I don't know that we're going to be doing lists. I'm about listed out for a few weeks. But what would you like to talk about next week? Leave it in the comments. Again, I read them all. If there's a good topic, we'll get to it eventually. Love you folks. Y'all take care. Have a great weekend and God bless.